Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Mordian Glory video. So for the last 3 months I have been running a painting competition inside the Mordian Glory Discord server. It's been called the Kriegsmass painting event, and the whole point of it was to try and help people slay the grey over the Christmas period. Now you might be thinking, Mordian Glory, it's a bit late after Christmas. Well, I thought that a lot of people would probably get some Warhammer models for Christmas, so we'd run it from around the Christmas period through to the beginning of the following year. Now, this is actually the second painting event that we've run inside the MG Discord server, and I am happy to report that both of them have been a resounding success. Now, in case you've missed the previous events, this is how it works. Within the Discord, there are dedicated channels for each of the main regiments of renown in the Imperial Guard. So we've got one for the Mordians, the Cadians, the Catachans, so on and so forth. When the painting competition begins, each player who wants to get involved can decide to support one of these regiments of renown, and they can post pictures of the models that they're painting in one of these channels. So you might be thinking, oh, I really want to support Cadians, and I really want to support Catachans. Well, you've got to pick which regiment you want to support for the event. Once you have made the difficult decision, well, it might not be difficult, you might be a die-hard Krieg fan, for example, it's then time to start making some painting vows. Vows were how players earn points for their team, and they're really straightforward. What you did is you took a picture of the unpainted models that you wanted to pledge to your team, and you'd go, I promise that I'm going to get these models painted before the end of the event. Then you would go away, you'd paint all the models up, you'd take a completed picture and you'd post that again, and you'd go, look at me, I'm great, I have completed my vow and I've earned my points for my team. Now, each player could make multiple vows, so if you finished your first vow early on, that's fine. You could then make a second and a third and a fourth and a fifth vow, and that way you could earn loads and loads of points for your team. And the way the points actually worked was it was based on each unit's in-game points value. So if you painted up a couple of infantry squads, each one of those would be worth 65 in-game points. So in total, you would earn your team 130 points. If you painted up a Lehman Russ and you put some sponsons on it and a heavy stubber, that would earn you about 170 points. And so your team would gain 170 points from that vow. Now, each vow could be pretty big. You could vow up to 5,000 points in each go. And each player was allowed to do 5 vows throughout the event. So potentially, each player could paint and vow up to 25,000 points. Now, that might sound like an insane amount of points, but let me tell you, there were a few people that got pretty close to reaching the limit. And there were loads of people that, even if they didn't do 5,000 points per vow, actually made 5 vows over the course of the event, which is a fantastic effort. So that is how the event worked, and what I want to do now is go over the results of the painting competition. How many points were vowed? How many points were successfully completed? Of course, who won the overall thing? And we will also be going into some extra nitty-gritty detail covering how many infantry models were painted, how many vehicles were painted by the community, and how many super heavies, and how many titans. Yes, titans plural. Now, very quickly, before we dive into all of the fun detail, I just want to say that if you're a bit sad that you missed out on this painting competition and you think it sounds like a ton of fun, do not worry. I will be running them regularly inside the Mordian Glory Discord. All you need to do to get into Discord is be a channel member or Patreon supporter. And the next event that I am planning on running will start on the 4th of May. That's right, Star Wars Day. And it should be running to the 4th of August. And it's going to be the second Trooping the Colour painting competition. That's about 2 months away. So if you were involved in this one, you've got 2 months to recover and build up that pile of shame again. And if you're looking forward to getting involved and you haven't joined one of these painting competitions before, then it gives you 2 months to prepare, organize yourself, and then you can join in and we can paint lots of lovely models together. Right, all of that's covered now. Let's dive right into today's episode. So let's start off with the individual team results. And as we're going through the video, I'm going to have a slideshow playing of all of the fantastic models that were painted by the community. And I'm sure you can agree with me that many of these models have had a lot of effort put into them, and there's some really impressive handiwork on display. But now let's go through the leaderboard, starting at the bottom and going up to the top. we have actually got two teams that came joint last. This was the Elysians and the Heretics. Both of these teams scored 0 points because, unfortunately, no players came out to support them. This was a little bit disappointing. Obviously, you never want a regiment to go completely unrepresented in these painting competitions. Now, in the case of the Elysians, it wasn't totally unsurprising. They are a very niche regiment. Games Workshop discontinued support for them a long time ago. And overall, you tend to find that the Elysian community is concentrated on their own Drop Trooper Discord server. Maybe next time will be a good opportunity for the Mordian Glory Discord and the Drop Trooper Discord to do a collaboration. Get the Elysian boys over here representing their regiment. Last time we did actually have a couple of players that came out and represented the Elysians, which was good, but unfortunately this time the Drop Troopers never got the signal to get into the caps and down onto the planet. So there we go. In the case of the Heretics, it was really surprising. Did not expect them to get no vowels. In fact, there was a lot of chit and chat in the discussion section of the Renegade and Heretic channel, but just no one ended up coming out and supporting them. Really unusual. Now, the reason this is so surprising is because in the last painting competition, the Heretics actually came third. They podiumed, which was a bit controversial to say the least. And they actually got into a grudge match with the Katachan regiment, and they beat the Katachans. And the Katachans then had to have a mark of shame for the whole event. And all the Heretics came out, and we ended up giving them some special badges on the Discord, saying that they'd earned like Demon Hood and all that kind of stuff. Really, really good showing from the Heretics in the last event. But in this one, I don't know if the Inquisition Purges have been particularly effective. I don't know if they were resting on their laurels, but unfortunately, none of them came out. So the Elysians and the Heretics both came joint last. But after that slightly false start, we do get into the proper nitty-gritty of the painting event. And coming in 10th place was the Talan Desert Raiders. The Talan actually had a little bit of a tumultuous time during the painting competition. They actually started off with a decent amount of points being vowed. Overall, they had 4,310 points of models that were pledged by their players. But sadly, their follow-through was a little bit lacking, and they only managed to complete 1,990 points. And it's not about what you vow, it's about what you complete. And so overall, they only had a 46% complete rate, and therefore that meant they came in last. If they had managed to get the majority of their vows completed, they may have come in 9th or even 8th position. But as it was, the Desert Raiders never got the signal from HQ to begin the ambush, and I imagine most of them are still out there skulking in the desert. In terms of the models that were completed, they did get 17 infantry models, 7 tanks, and 1 super heavy done. And I want to make a special mention to the player Pause. Pause was actually the only one in the Talan group that got his vows not only done, but completed with plenty of time, and he got loads of them done. So all of those models and all of those points were completed by Pause. Well done to you, mate. Well done for representing Talan, and a good effort overall. Coming in 9th place, we had the Gene Stealer cult, which I feel might even add a bit more salt into the wound of the Talan coming last. They were outdone by the goddamn alien mutant hybrids. But the Gene Stealer cult did a really fantastic job this time round. They vowed 2,746 points, and they completed 2,746 points. That is right, they had a 100% completion rate, and the number of models that they painted was really impressive. They got 171 infantry models painted. Should be clear, infantry is everything from your lowliest grot all the way up to your Lord Solars. Anything that isn't a vehicle, basically. When you've got things like field ordnance batteries and heavy weapon teams, we count those as 3 infantry models for field ordnance battery and 2 infantry models for a heavy weapon team. But like I said, Gene Stealer Cult came in with 171 infantry models painted, loads of neophytes and Tyranids and all sorts of brilliant things being painted up. They only actually had 5 vehicles painted, and a couple of these were Tyranid monsters. But it was coming down to just the chittering hordes of little bugs and devoted neophytes. I want to give the Gene Stealer Cult a little bit of extra praise and special attention during this event. Firstly, they massively stepped up their game from the last painting event. Last time, there was a couple of players that got involved, and between them, they painted about 400-ish points worth of models. This time round, they were closing in on 3,000 points worth of models. Really good effort. And they had a 100% completion rate. And they got loads and loads of models done. So overall, a fantastic effort from the Genestealer cult. And I want to say a special thank you, a special well done to the Rainbow Count Effects, Sean K and Bob Lowe, for all of you guys for getting involved and completing your vows and representing the Genestealer cult really, really well this time round. Looking forward to seeing how the Genestealer cult rise continues in the next painting event. Coming in 8th place, we've got everyone's favourite Frosty Boys, the Valhallan Ice Warriors. Now, I know some in the Valhallan community are going to be a little disappointed they came in 8th place overall, considering last time they did come in 4th. But what I would say is you should be proud of what you've achieved, because overall, your amount of points you vowed in comparison to the last event was pretty similar, and the amount of vows that you completed was pretty similar as well. I think essentially what's happened is some of the other communities have grown. The Valhallans are still a really solid part of the Mordian Glory community, but I think, like I said, maybe some communities have stepped up a little bit in this event, whereas the Valhallans are doing Valhallan things. They're just stoically advancing forward, grinding through the painting, just consistently delivering those results. Now, overall, the Valhallans vowed 5,840 points, and they completed 3,310 points for a 57% completion rate, which was actually fairly middle of the pack. We've got a few people that got less than 50%. In total, they vowed 83 infantry models, 6 tanks, and the big one is they actually vowed 3 super heavies, which meant that they vowed, I think, about the 3rd or 4th amount of super heavies overall. So a really, really solid result from the Valhallan community there. Special thank you to Setso1, Victor Ligas, Iqbad and JP for getting involved in the Valhallan team and also for completing all of their vows. And a special mention to Iqbad, for he was the one that completed the 3 super heavies, 2 Bane Hammers and a Fell Blade. Really, really solid effort there from Iqbad. Well done, mate. Did really, really well. But overall, the whole team did pretty fantastically as well. So good going, Valhallan boys. I'm sure that your inexorable grinding, painting advance will continue through into the next competitions. Coming in 7th place, we had the other regiment that begins with the letter V, the Vostroyan Firstborn. These guys vowed a very respectable 8,189 points. But unfortunately, the follow-through just wasn't quite there for the Valhallans this time round. Only 3,555 points completed. This is a complete turnaround from their last involvement in the painted competition, because last time they only vowed a few thousand points, but they had a 100% completion rate, which was really, really impressive. But still, overall, a very solid showing, considering there's only about half a dozen players in there. They got 3,500 plus points painted. In fact, they got 112 infantry models painted and 15 vehicles. You'll really notice that there's a lot of infantry getting painted this time around. In the last painting competition, there was a lot of vehicles. Most teams focused on vehicles. This time around, it was very much the infantryman's game. And I think that kind of explains why we're seeing some of these teams with a relatively sort of low amount of points being completed, but with so many models making up those vows that were finished. So overall, a really, really good effort. Getting 100 plus models and 15 vehicles painted up is nothing to sniff at, and the Vostroyans represented the Firstborn very well in this event. And of course, I want to say a massive thank you to Ferron, Artorius Rex, Reaple Cheap, Not Matt, and Kobold for not only representing the Vostroyans, but for getting their vows completed. Well done, lads. Fantastic effort. Coming in 6th place and just managing to squeak themselves into the top half of the leaderboard, we have the Mordian Iron Guard, my favourite and the bestest boys in the whole of the Astra Militarum. Overall, the Mordians vowed 9,015 points, which is pretty similar to what we did last time. But unfortunately, our completion rate was a little bit low. It was only 5,375 points followed through on, and that meant that we only had a 60% completion rate. Overall, we painted 169 infantry models and 10 vehicles. However, I have a terrible confession to make, guys. Despite the fact it was a Mordian Glory competition, a Mordian Glory event in the Mordian Glory Discord server, Your boy MG himself failed his vows. Oh, the shame, the terrible, terrible shame. I will never, ever live it down. Oh, I feel so bad as well. Because my vows actually started off really well. I began with getting some characters painted up, which got some solid points in the bank. Few models, lots of points. Then I got a Rogel Dawn painted. That was a big old boost. Then I got 2 super heavies completed. The Baneblade and the Hellhammer. I was like, yes, yes, I'm on a roll. But as is tradition in these painting events, I start off slow and then I always go for like a mega massive vow at the end. And last time I ended up painting up a full tank company, got 12 vehicles done in like a month, which was really good. And this time I thought I'd try and outdo myself again, and I'd paint up a full Tyranid army. So not only did I stray away from the Glorious Guard models and went over to the terrible Xenos Heretic models, which in of itself is enough shame to have me buried for eternity, but then I failed that vow. I failed it. So that meant that all the points I had accumulated up until that point were wiped out. If you fail one vow, you fail them all, even if you'd previously completed things, which meant all of the other points that I had got for the team were wiped out. If I hadn't made that vow, the Mordians would have gone into 5th place. If I had completed that vow, we would have comfortably got ourselves into 4th place. So my failure and my shame is just utterly and totally complete. And I must submit to the Commissariat and to the Inquisition and to you, my supporters and my community, for righteous flogging, shame, and all of the indignation that you can throw at me. Please let me have it in the comment section, boys. It's the least I deserve. But not all of my Mordian Iron Guard brethren were as useless as I was, and I want to say a big well done and thank you to Weighted 13 and Still Unsure. These guys really carried the team. In fact, I want to say a special thank you to Still Unsure, because he absolutely smashed it in the last painting competition. Felt like he must have painted up 10,000 points single-handedly, and this time he did one very, very impressive vow, which was 4,325 points, and it included 165 Space Marine infantry. So a very, very, very good effort to him, but also a good effort to the team as a whole. It was just sadly my Ogren brain. Why did I vow a whole Tyranid army? I don't know what overcame me, guys. I think arrogance, pride cometh before the fall, boys. That's what it is. But well done to Waste 13 and well done to Still representing the Iron Guard properly. Coming in 5th place above the Mordian Iron Guard was the Steel Legion, proving once and for all that steel probably is the superior metal to iron. Steel Legion had a fantastic result this painting event. They completely smashed it. In the last event, they came almost bottom. They barely scraped together 1,000 points. This time, not only did they vow 9,521 points, almost 10k points worth of vows, but they had a fantastic follow-through rate as well, getting 69,906 points. I love that score. 6996. I love it. It's great in every single way. So that is a 73% completion rate overall and 147 infantry models, but a very, very impressive motor pool with 25 tanks completed and 1 super heavy. That is actually the most tanks completed that we've seen out of all the factions so far. Of course, that is only appropriate for the Steel Legion. They love their vehicles. Many of those were Lehman Russes and Sentinels and Chimeras and all that kind of good stuff. So well done to Steel Legion, boys. Really, really solid effort. Completely and utterly stepped it up from the last event. And just a fantastic overall result. Special thank you and well done to Christian August, Mr. Joel, Bush Wookie, Fludol, Living in VR, Several Challenges, Marlowe and Flying Pancake for flying the flag of the Steel Legion and showing those orcs and those World Eaters and bloody GW that they can kill Yarrick, but they cannot kill the spirit of the Steel Legion. Fantastic effort, guys. Well done and thank you for getting involved in the painting competition. Coming in 4th place and our last regiment before we get to the podium, we have a surprise entry. The Stormtroopers took everyone by surprise and they stormed into 4th place with not only 8,630 points vowed, but 8,630 points completed, a 100% completion rate, which massively contributed towards their fantastic overall score. Last time Stormtroopers were well down in the bottom half of the leaderboard. This time they have turned it around and they have completely smashed it. Honestly, could not believe how well the Stormtrooper community came out in this event. They were vowing everything and anything they could get their hands on, and this is represented by the really high number of models and the variety of models that they vowed. So 242 infantry, the vast majority of which were actual Scions, which of course makes a big difference, because if you vow a 10-man Scion squad, that's worth 110 points, worth it. But, you know, in comparison to vowing a 10-man infantry squad, which is only worth 65. They also came out with 31 vehicles and 3 super heavies. That's right, I don't know what's been going on in the Stormtrooper Corps recently, but apparently they've all been getting their hands on bloody Bane swords and Shadow swords and all sorts of kind of super heavies. So I just want to say, really impressive result from Stormtroopers. Honestly, I tip my hat to you, good sirs, kind sirs. I raise my glass to you, because it's a complete and utter turnaround from last time. And if I could give an award out for most improved regiment, it would absolutely have to go to the Stormtroopers. So let's all put it together down in the comment section for the Stormtroopers. And a big thank you and well done to Menos, Epic King of Modesty, Skip Dragon, and Matt Finish, and Hinty. There may have only been 5 of them, but that's all the Stormtroopers you need to achieve victory for the Emperor. So well done to all of our teams so far, but now we get to the podium, the top 3. What you're going to notice right away, guys, is the level of vows and points. The whole scale of it up in the top 3 is a big step up. We are no longer talking about 8,000 or 9,000 points. We are talking in the tens of thousands of points vowed. These 3 communities really pulled all the stops out. Dozens and dozens of players were involved in every single team, and the number of models completed was truly staggering. This is where we start seeing our titans appear. This is where we start seeing super heavies in the double figures turning up when you combine the 3 teams together. So overall, I just want to say right off the bat that I was incredibly impressed with how all of these teams performed, and all of the players involved on these top teams should give themselves a big pat on the back, because many of them went all out. In fact, many of them cleared their entire backlogs, went out, got more models. It really was a bitter fight for the top 3, but there can only be one winner. And coming in 3rd place, taking the bronze medal, is the regiment that the event was named after, the Death Corps of Krieg. The Krieg vowed a total of 23,454 points. That is just staggering. And they actually managed to complete 15,930 points, giving them an overall completion rate of 68%, which you might think is surprisingly low considering that they came 3rd, but you've got to remember, this is the Krieg, baby. They always grind out. They always take huge attritional losses. They do that in the lore, they do that on the tabletop, and apparently they do it in painting competitions as well. So I actually have no issue with it. It's just them role-playing their faction in every single fact of their lives, which is brilliant. And the amount of models these guys did was incredible. 430 infantry. I mean, wow. That's like 3+ companies of infantry. And then you've got 60 vehicles. That was more than any other regiment. They had 60 vehicles completed. Now, a lot of those vehicles were things like Sentinels and Chimeras and stuff, but it was still 60 vehicles is a very strong multiple. And they also had 6 super heavies, which was more than anybody else. Way more. The next closest was the Katachans, who had 4 super heavies completed. So the motor pool of the Krieg was the most impressive. And I just want to say a massive well done to all of the Krieg players who completed their vows. It's a me, Marco, CRYW, Campbell, Nexagon, Alex Cage, Lord Prayer, Novak85, Cosmic Krieger, CM Miles 89, Bullshark, Comninos, Mike 6 Britannia, Hunter Champion, and Watchmaster Chris. You all did your part to atone for the sins of Krieg, and you can all hold your heads high for getting a fantastic result in the painting competition. But coming in 2nd place and taking the silver medal, we have the Cadians. Little bit of a surprise. Last time they won the event, but they should not be disappointed in any way, shape or form, because their performance was out of this world. If only Abaddon had not had that Blackstone Fortress, I am confident that Cadia would still be standing, and my evidence for this is the unbelievable effort that was put in by the Cadian Shock Troopers. 24,370 points vowed and 18,265 points completed, giving a 75% win rate. Very, very respectable. Very high win rate. In the last event, a 75% win rate would have easily secured you a place in the podium, if not winning the event. This time round, though, there were several regiments that did pull out the 100%, and that did make the difference. But just take a look at these numbers, guys. 688 infantry vowed. The Cadians, beyond a shadow of a doubt, by more than 100 models, painted the most infantry out of anyone in the competition. Really, really amazing effort there. But their motor pool was no slouch either, with 45 tanks being painted. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, that is the second highest number of tanks painted by a single regiment. Really impressive work. And then they painted 3 super heavies and our first Titan, a Warhound Titan, was painted by the Cadians. Really, really cool. In fact, this is the second Titan that the Cadian community has pulled out from under the rug. They painted one in the first event as well, and it was a big part of what helped them secure that victory. So Cadian players overall, wow, really, really, really strong effort. Really, really high number of models completed. And I just want to say a big 07, a big thank you and a massive well done to all of the Cadian boys that were able to complete their vows. So a massive thank you to Definitely Not Trotsky, Ocho, Hypnotic Sage, TCC, Codester, Big Mac, Newbie, Lorenzo, Matty814, Ali Home Edition, Chansey, Angus JD, Neros, Josh, Methos, Drayland, Ed B, Tautom, Cappy, and PJ McMurray. Well done to all of you guys for your amazing effort, fantastic vows. The amount of infantry you guys put down, 6 companies plus worth of models, really impressive. And of course, a special thank you and a really, really special well done, heartfelt well done to Hypnotic Sage, to Trevor, for getting that Warhound Titan done. 2,000 points in a single model. In fact, Hypnotic Sage really focused on the super heavies this time around, and he got 3 Minotaur tanks done, which was a big chunk of the super heavies done by the Cadians, and he also got that Warhound Titan done and a Lord Solar. So he was really just focusing on those big ticket items, and it certainly paid off because he scored his team over 3,000 points alone. So Trevor, you're an absolute mad lad. Well done for completing that Titan. Brilliant effort. And thank you so much to all of you and your team for getting involved in the event. But there can only be one victor of the Kriegsmass painting competition. And coming out of nowhere, showing that all you need is muscles, gains, and a big old knife to achieve victory, is the Kazachan Jungle Fighters. Unbelievable effort. I mean, there are no words to describe the effort that these guys put in. They had less than a dozen players on their team, and overall they vowed 21,538 points, and they completed every single Emperor Dam one of those points for a 100% completion rate, and that is fundamentally what got them the victory. Other regiments, like the Cadians, like the Krieg, vowed more points than them, but they did not follow through on all of their vows. The Kachans really, really focused on making sure that they vowed manageable amounts, that they could get loads and loads of points in the bank consistently, and it definitely paid off. They were also really clever about the kind of models that they were painting. Bear in mind that if you paint a Guardsman squad, it's 10 models and it's worth about 65 points. If you paint a Castellan, it's 1 model and it gets you 50 points. points. So there was some really clever vowing in there, but it was all legit. They weren't padding out their scores or anything like that. And of course, also because this was a open painting event, well, that meant it wasn't just limited to guard models. As you probably see in some of the pictures, we've had some marine stuff filed, some orcs, some chaos stuff, anything pretty much went. And that's because it's Christmas, right? You don't know what models you're going to get for Christmas, so you can just vow whatever you want. And so the Catachans made extensive use of Space Marine support and of Orc auxiliaries. And that's all legit and that's all good. And some of the paint jobs that we had there were really, really cool, really impressive. So overall, the Catachans painted 564 infantry models. They also painted 30 tanks, and then they painted 4 super heavies and a Titan, another Warhound Titan. We had 2 Warhound Titans in the event. One was a classic armor cast one, and one was a Forge World one. I also just want to mention how cool it is that the Catachans won this event for 2 reasons. Firstly, they are a little bit of a niche regiment. Yes, they do have some model support, but their models are absolutely ancient. And so you do feel like GW doesn't give them the support they deserve. I feel like if someone from GW ever comes across this video, they should definitely give the Catachans a range refresh. The community is there. The spirit is there. The willingness to be part of the guard is there. GW, just give the Catachans what they need and they will do you proud. I also think that it was really cool that the Catachans won based on what happened in the last painting event. So in the Trooping the Colour, the first painting event that we ran, the Catachans got into a grudge match with the Renegades and Heretics, and despite their best efforts, they unfortunately lost. And as a result, because they'd lost, but not only in the event, but overall to Heretics as well, they were all forced to wear the badge of shame, the Flobberworm, in the Discord. So I feel like the Catachans came back strong because they had something to prove. They weren't heretic lovers. They weren't going to stand by and let another event pile more shame onto them. So the fact they got a 100% completion rate is amazing. The fact that they won the event overall is amazing. And the fact that they came back unbelievably strong from the last event really just goes to show the amount of effort that these guys were putting in. So I think we can all agree that the Catachans very well deservedly won the event. And I would just ask everyone who's watching this video to put a big well done to the Catachans down in the comments section below. And I personally want to congratulate Dippy Wilson, Hammer1349, Che, Revenga, Gunlock Zero, and Joseph Wrigley for their win. You guys definitely stole the show, came out of nowhere with the steel chair, and secured victory for your team in an absolutely epic way. I do want to do a couple of special shout outs as well to Revenga for just constantly motivating the team. He was always in there going, guys, what can we do next? How can we keep on top of the score? He was constantly making sure his team knew where they were up to, motivating them. So Revenga, really, really top job rallying the troops, dude. I want to say a thank you to Gunlock Zero and a well done to Gunlock Zero for painting multiple chapters of Space Marines. Honestly, if you guys see the score sheet for this, you can find it in the Mordian Glory Discord. Just look at the amount of models that Gunlock Zero is doing. He is a one-man painting machine. Special thank you and mention to Che as well. Guy came out and made 5 files, completed every single one of them. Really, really good effort. And also, I want to say a thank you to Joseph Wrigley for putting a big smile on my face. He was a big part of the Orc effort in the Catachan community, and the way he was making his vows was brilliant. Absolutely in character and amazing. And Hammer1349 and Dippy Wilson, you guys both get a thumbs up from me as well, because you guys completed all of your vows and your efforts helped secure victory for the Catachans. So that was the individual team scores, but how did we do overall? Let's close out with some summary stats. So in total, 117,613 points were vowed to the event, and 88,335 points were completed, giving the Mordian Glory community an overall completion rate of 75%. 5%. I think that is really, really impressive, and the community as a whole should give themselves a collective pat on the back because those numbers are staggering. Hundreds of thousands of points involved. And if you compare it to the last event as well, a noticeable step up and improvement. In the last event, we had 83,000 points vowed. We had more than that completed this time around. In the last event, 64,000 points were completed, which gave an overall 71% completion rate. So not only has the scale of the event and of the community grown, but the completion rate has improved as well. But speaking of scale, the amount of models painted was just mind-boggling. 2,623 infantry models painted. That's everything from the lowliest guardsman all the way up to the Lord Solar. 2,623 models painted. Wow. I mean, it's hard to even imagine that many models out on the table. Do you know what I mean, guys? It really is just crazy. And then the motor pool itself, the combined motor pool was 234 armoured fighting vehicles painted. Multiple regiment strength, multiple company strengths of tanks, sentinels, chimeras, everything painted. Really, really, really top effort. And then we had 21 super heavies, guys. That's like Horus Heresy Tank Company levels of super heavies getting painted. Just, the Imperium is truly resurgent. You know, what could stand against 21 super heavies? I don't know, guys. Not much in my opinion. Not much at all. And then, to top it all off, 2 Titans. 2 Warhound Titans is just the cherry, the very impressive cherry on top of a very, very impressive amount of models. And again, just comparing it to the last event where there was only 1,400 infantry painted up, so a big increase there. Similar sort of vehicles, both times about 240 odd vehicles were painted. And then last time we had 12 super heavies and 1 Titan painted, which I thought was pretty impressive. This time, blowing that out of the water. And so what this means is over a 6-month period between the last 3-month painting competition and this 3-month painting competition, the Morning Glory community has painted 152,922 points. That's 100% completed. And cumulatively, that is 4,106 infantry models, 477 fighting vehicles, 33 super heavies, and 3 Titans. And all I can say is I cannot wait to see what the future holds. I cannot wait to see how much bigger and better these painting events can get. And if you're watching this video and you think this sounds awesome, then I highly encourage you to check out the Mordian Glory Discord and to get involved. Like I said, next one is going to be in a couple months of time, starting in May, and I would love to have you all there. Let's see if we can push the next painting event to have 100,000 plus points of models completed. That, I think, would be a real milestone. But I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone that got involved. The spirit of the event was amazing. Everyone was egging each other on. There was a little bit of friendly competition, but overall there was no negativity. It was all positivity, and that is what I love to see. So just thank you to all of you guys. You're amazing, and you guys definitely made the event as fun as it was. I hope you guys have all enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. And of course, as always, I'll see you guys next time.